Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, we did it. Yep. I can now wish each of you a beautiful Shabbat without mentioning those other festivals and holidays that seem to dominate our calendar and to demand all of our attention. Those events were wonderful. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchat Torah. Yep, meaningful, uplifting, transforming. But for me, there's something particularly special about being able to shift our attention back to the mundane, to the ordinary, where we actually live day by ordinary day. The Sedra Bereishit, the first of the year's Sedras, is filled with material that is widely known and widely celebrated in the Western world. But that fame, or even that notoriety, doesn't mean that we fully grasp all that is here. An example, Bereishit is my bar mitzvah portion. Among a myriad of other demands, I was told to chant the maftir, the closing verses of the chapter. Fine. I did what I was told. This is what was pounded into my 13-year-old brain. When the Eternal saw how great was the wickedness of human beings in the earth, that the direction of their thoughts was nothing but wicked, all of the time, the Eternal regretted having made human beings on earth and was heartsick. Wow, great. I was celebrating my bar mitzvah and thus my acceptance of the covenant with words that surely signaled trouble ahead for all of us. Thank God Noah showed up. But not surprisingly, the Noah fix didn't work out all that well. For me, the rich, suggestive, poetic, challenging verses of the first book of the Torah do not now and never were intended to be factual, historical, literal explorations of objective truth. For me, the authors and editors of Torah needed the narratives of these chapters so as to set the table and prepare the stage for the story of the Exodus from Egypt, and then the ultimate entry of the Israelites into the Promised Land. In a variety of different ways. The Jewish people only enters history with Yetziat Mitzrayim, with the Exodus, and then the conquest of Canaan. What did those authors and editors then need from Genesis? I suggest just a backstory, perhaps an origin story. Maybe to answer questions such as, where did music and art and the techniques of war come from? We have that answer. How did one people get singled out for a unique relationship with the Creator? Got that answer. What is our relationship with the environment? Is it ours to use and despoil, or are we supposed to protect the environment? Got that answer. And however we, human beings, came into being, what was the purpose behind God giving to us hearts and minds and souls and memories? Oh, and while we're at it, why isn't there just a single people with a shared understanding of existence? Wouldn't that be cool? It would have been so much easier. Well, that's answered at the Tower of Babel. Despite all of God's conversations with human beings in the book of Genesis, beginning, of course, with Adam and Eve, we also ask, what can we know about God? Is God just one among many? Possibility. Chief of the gods? Possibility. Or perhaps founder and CEO of the divine corporation? Possibility. And what are the qualities of this God? Remember? God enjoys a walk in the Garden of Eden at the cool of the day, or rather casually wipes out almost all that God had created, or makes covenants and promises with one particular people while claiming all the while to be impartial. Or is this God quick to forgive while at the same time being overtly vengeful? This God seems not only loving, but capable of making serious misjudgments and blaming everything on us. And maybe the biggest question of all that we ask as we confront the book of Genesis: who then are we? Our Sedra and the following chapters try to answer all of these questions and many more. Religions have arisen and fallen in efforts to project their preferred answers. Savage wars have been waged in order to sustain or to destroy wildly diverse answers. Theological disputations over the centuries far too often have become zero-sum games. We'll take one example here. Let's take Genesis 1:26. Quote, "But God now said, let us make human beings in our image, after our likeness." Close quote. Now, if you run, as I sometimes do, to that world-famous theologian, Professor Google, you will get a huge outpouring description of all of God's attributes, and they are many. Scholars are then freed up to debate whether being in the image of God, B'Tselem, or in the likeness of God, B'Dmut, makes us similar to God or identical to God. And then they debate. There is neither time nor space here to do a scholarly review alluding to Maimonides, Philo, Saadia Gaon, and a large assortment of others. So let me just share with you how I view this foundational text. Foundational, by the way, both to Christianity and to Judaism. When I speak of human beings being in the image of God, what do I mean? First, I don't mean anything that resembles a physical image. I do not believe that we can attribute physicality to God, period. Next item. Well, what about the divine attributes? You can turn to Exodus 34:6-7 and read there the 13 attributes of God, the classic listing, short list of God's attributes. That listing is so important that it shows up frequently in the prayer book. To be in the divine image, said Maimonides, on the other hand, is to be fully rational. Divine image, rational. Others offered that the term calls us to be loving, compassionate, caring, respectful, and it specifically is the basis for removing any thought that one race or one nationality or one language group is more God-like than any other. That's good stuff. Oh, we'd have to agree, that's good stuff. For me, image of God is an inkblot, a verbal picture onto which we are expected to project what we consider to be the noblest of all possible moral attributes. Image of God. Project. We shouldn't at all assume that we are in any way describing God. We aren't, and we can't. Rather, for me, the term is a call for us to exercise our moral muscles so that we can grow in the capacity to reach what we believe to be the apex of our human behavior. being in the divine image, boy, that's highly attractive to us. But its best use is as an ever-evolving yardstick measuring how we exercise our humanity. Welcome to Genesis, a book written specifically to provide answers, but one that has been far more successful in posing questions. Have a wonderful week contemplating how you understand image of God. Good things might happen. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great week.